Gukesh Ding round 3, a real battle, and many of our pre-match predictions came true in this match. The first of which is that we said Gukesh would use a hit and run approach, a different opening idea every single time, keeping Ding off balance, guessing as to what's coming next. And we're going to say he has a whole team of people behind him giving him those ideas. We start with D4 and point 2 on the eval bar. That's just our human sense of what the evaluation of the position is. No engines were used in the creation of this video. Knight F6. And what's interesting here is this is usually considered kind of tame. This is a Carlsbad structure. But the idea, the ambition for white with Queen C2 is simply to say that that bishop on C8 is a poor piece. And what's interesting about this strategic idea is the whole game is going to turn on that bishop. Is it going to be a victim, right? Can we smudge it out of the game? It will go from a strategic idea into a tactical idea. Okay, so here we go. G6 to get the bishop to F5. H3, very ambitious. And we are trying to make that bishop's life difficult, like so. Queen B3, G4, okay? And now, what's important to say is that Ding is on his own in the opening. He starts really tanking, right? Because he has to decide, how do I feel about my bishop going deep into the white position with queen takes B3, A takes B3, bishop C2. Now, how confident do you feel, right? And it's really a bummer when your opponent quickly plays bishop F4, because then you know, oh, this guy has seen this before. And in fact, this is from a game of Kramnik against Aragaisi, rapid game. And Kramnik, I strongly suspect, is in the Gukesh team for prepping his opening ideas. Okay, H5 was also played by Aragaisi, Rook G1, snip, snap. And now, Ding tanks for 33 minutes, okay? And plays, let's call it the most uncompromising move, right? Not wanting to give white anything with knight D7, right? This is what we're gonna see. In the Aragaisi game, it went boom. And the thing about this position is we can claim that maybe white is a little bit better because of the bishop. So that's the small thing that Ding doesn't want to give Gukesh. So knight D7, here we go. This is the Chess Dojo time graph. And as you can see, it tells a story of a game. And really in this game, the pressure on Ding right out of the opening. So imagine that knight D7 move we just saw, 30 some minutes, bang. That's a big drop in time, you know, and then it's just, you can just see it. He doesn't have that much left. The pressure, the interesting thing about this match too, is there's no increment. So once you start getting towards the end, there ain't that much left. Chess Dojo is an amazing site. You should check it out. For the entire World Championship cycle, we have 20% off. You just need to use the code WC24 to get in. And you can see, time graph will tell the story of each and every one of your games. Knight D2. Gukesh thinks here because that's the first, this move, knight B7, was the first thing that he wasn't totally in his prep for. Okay, Rook G8. Again, everything is about this bishop. The point is that if Rook C1, we have G5 and the bishop can return. Okay, now a very interesting move. In hindsight, an exclam, but at the time we thought it was highly problematic. G5. It seems poor because it seems like we're giving black a bunch of squares. So both a square for his bishop and for his knight. However, Gukesh has an idea. Knight H5, bishop H2. And that is to play F3 and E4. Something to see about this. If the knight wants to come back to G7 and go to either F5 or E6. If I get my pawns on F3 and E4, only one of those pieces can occupy those, let's say the E6 square, right? And so at the minimum, we would have a huge cramping situation for black. For example, if black just wanted to be slightly worse, I think he could do something like this. It's a little, something like that. And he's going to be a little worse. Okay? So again, an uncompromising plan, rook h8, f3, and now we tempo the bishop, right? And now we're going to say Ding makes his big mistake. It's a little bit hard for me to even understand how it came about. So in our analysis of this, we could not find a clear path to victory for white or advantage for white after knight e6. For example, bishop f2, bishop g7, rook c1, bishop f5, e4, and now bishop h3. And I think this is an important move because, and notice the bishop protects the rook. It's nice, so there's no rook h1. This seems an important move to me because if we had to take and play bishop h3, then I could maybe believe that white is much better here because we're getting the square, right? And we're dominating the knight on d7 and the bishop as well. This also points to the fact that when we go back to this position, I want you to, by this I mean the knights being suddenly active. Then we go to this position, my knights are terrible. White's knights are terrible, right? So the whole story is, are they going to be able to dominate this bishop or not? If not, they're just terrible people, right? That's why this g5 move is like, oh no, ghosts of round one, when Gukesh had this very quick preparation play too, and then fell apart. Okay, so the problem with this move, rook h5, okay, is clearly he missed something in the calculation of the position, okay? But also it's kind of like, you know, the story of the game is the bishop on c2 and can it get out? It's not the g5 pawn, right? That's not what it's about. And here, Gukesh, I think, has a pleasant choice between rook c1, bishop f2, and e4. The first two of those are positional approaches. The third is the let's kill our opponent approach, e4. And around this point, Ding started shaking his head a little bit, getting that nervous thing, you know, like somebody's getting tortured, the body language of a tortured person, okay? Pop, pop, knight e6, rook c1, and knight d4. Now, I think what happened here is maybe Ding thought of this position and said to himself, you know what, bishop f2, let's say bishop g7, snip, snop, rook g2. Man, let's just play bishop b3 for half a second, and I'll win this pawn and I'll say I'm okay. Maybe that's what he was thinking when he played rook h5. Okay, I don't really know, speculation. A thing that many players can fall victim to is the backwards move, however. And we suspect maybe he missed this knight e2. Maybe it seems simple, but I'm just saying backwards moves are easy to miss, especially when you're thinking about it many moves in advance. And here, well, I think it's crispy critters. We had a little bit of a debate in the dojo. The boys were thinking maybe it's not so over. To me, a piece is a piece. And we saw knight e5, and now actually a very nice move. My first move shows an example of how I could blow this position. I was thinking king e3, but then we started looking at it deeper. I was like, wait a second, king e3, rook g5, maybe it's not so pleasant for a peasant, if you know what I'm saying, right? So knight d4, exclam. And this finish that Gukesh now provides, really inspirational. Rook d8, king e2, rook h2. What is black trying to do? He's trying to be a cheapo merchant. Okay, he's trying to be a cheapo merchant, trying to create some kind of drama. And I like that. I think white could, most players I think would play knight f3 here, okay? And try to survive. I mean, just try to consolidate, excuse me. Bishop g2 is much nicer. And what we're gonna see is there's a long-term claim by white is not only I'm up a piece, but I'm gonna claim that this rook on h2, the cheapo merchant, is off sides. A lot of times the cheapo merchant ends up being off sides. Okay, and I would have been nervous here I think my chump mind would have just been nervous about knight g4. I would have been nervous about that, but just simply knight f3 and we are in full control of this position. Okay, great. So black decides to sit. He's now in deep time pressure. b3, nice move. A lot of people would have done maybe knight f3. b3 prevents, knight c4 takes away the bishop g7 scope, right? And says, black, you don't even do anything. Rook d7, we go back. Very nice. We're not in a hurry to play knight f3. So many players would have been in a hurry. King e7, bang, simple chess. And now Ding realizes, oh no, I'm going to lose the battle for the d file. My rook is offsides, and I put my king on e7, maybe not so smart, because later bishop c5 is going to whack me. Okay, so he says, all right, I'm out of here, king e8. He's in deep time pressure now. 1 minute 50, no increment. Okay, 9 moves to make. Bishop g3, good move. Rook h5, and I really like the way Gukesh finishes him off here. Knight f3, where again, we're claiming the rook on h5 is offsides. Knight takes, king takes, and he says, okay, you can have your pawn now, my friend. You can have it. And the beauty of this is now my bishops are, this one in particular, that's my unopposed bishop, the one I need to do fancy things, right? It's gonna come alive. Here's another nice variation. Rook takes, rook g5, bishop h4. Oh no, Paul Morphy's mating the evil duke on d8, okay? So bishop d4, rook h1, simple chess. If you wanna try to survive, you gotta take the pawn. He takes it, bang! Oh, he's alive, he's alive. f5, the only way to deal with it. Rook d8 loses bishop h4, boom. Very nice move. And now there's some controversy. Did he lose on time? Did he resign after smacking over the g-pawn when he was in his rush to play his move? We don't know. In any case, rook h5 was the only move to be played. And then, bam! That's what would have happened to him. It would have been nice to see it on the board. If rook h1, we have bishop d7. It's called an intermediate move. Intermezzo. It's fish and soup. A lot of fancy names for that one. And of course, if GF, we have rook h5. So a beautiful win by Gukesh, and something I want to end this stream on is the move over here, rook h5. It is going to be tormenting, I tell you, Ding tonight, because it's very important to have confidence in your moves, in your calculation, right? Once you lose that confidence, really rough. And Ding already has a trouble with his confidence, right? That's this whole thing. We don't know if it's depression. It's definitely lack of confidence, yada, yada. This was the thing we were talking about before the match, okay? So even though the score is level now, the momentum is definitely now with Gukesh. And so stay tuned for round 4.